Welcome to Larry's Library. This week I don't have a review for you, but I do have a little bit of a special. I want to talk about that time I made the letters page. And specifically, it happened twice actually, so it's those times I made the letters page, but I didn't think that title sounded right. So almost 20 years ago now, in 2004, I was still reading and collecting comics almost exclusively in single issue format. So one of the titles that got me back into going weekly and buying my comics from the comic shop and actually actively collecting and reading again was Top Cow's Tomb Raider. Now, Top Cow was an imprint of Image, in case you didn't know that, but we just call it referred to as Top Cow. But yeah, it was an Image published book, group of books rather, and one of them was their licensed version of the Tomb Raider video game character. And it had some gorgeous art in it, and I got into it right away. So I think when I first started collecting that first Top Cow Image Tomb Raider series, I think it was probably on about issue 12 or so. And then I got back issues to fill in the rest, and I just kept collecting the title up till the point it was canceled, I think. Now, they brought it back in later versions later on, but I think that first series ran for 50 some odd issues, and I had all of them at one time. In 2004, I did write a letter to the Tomb Raider letters page. And I sent that in by email, and they ended up publishing it. Now, you would send that letter to the editor at the time, and the editor back then on that book was Renee Geerlings. And she published my letter in issue 38, this one right here, of Tomb Raider. It's 2004 issue, like I said. And I'm not going to read it all. I'll read the intro, but the majority of it is actually song lyrics. So what I did was, well, you know what? Instead of me describing here, I'm just going to read you the intro, and I'll put it up here so you can read it for yourself, but I'll read the intro I wrote. Okay, here's what I said. Hello, Renee. I was recently listening to the classic song Punk Rock Girl by the Dead Milkmen, and for some reason, my mind kept replacing each refrain of Punk Rock Girl with Top Cow Girl. So I thought I would sit down and hammer out a song called Top Cow Girl. Below are the lyrics to the tune of Punk Rock Girl by the Dead Milkmen. So I am not going to sing those lyrics to you, but I will let you read them. And if you're unfamiliar with that song, then you're really missing out, and I will link that up in a pinned comment and also in the upper right. Yeah, in your upper right as well. Now, those YouTube cards are not reliable, and they do not appear for everyone, so that's why I will do it in a pinned comment as well. But if you haven't heard, for some reason, if you haven't heard the Dead Milkmen's Punk Rock Girl, go watch that video, and then come back to this one and watch it again with these lyrics in mind. Or better yet, put that song on low in another tab and play it as you read my lyrics and tell me what you think. It's kind of goofy, kind of silly, but I had a lot of fun with it, and apparently they liked it, so they did print it. Now, I will read you Renee Geerling, the editor's reply. And at that time, I was still going by my old handle of Web Hobbit. So I signed it Web Hobbit with my city and state. And Renee says, our own song, now that's cool. Not to mention, it has me humming old Dead Milkmen tunes. Remember Smoking Banana Peels? Good one. It's a guitar. Ah, the good old days. Beelzebubba was a great album. Yes, it was. Thanks for that. Web Hobbit? Web Hobbit? Did you legally change your name to that? Or are you embarrassed to be writing to us and are changing your name to protect your family? I bet you play Dungeons & Dragons, huh? Wait, I bet you still play Dungeons & Dragons. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just making a guess. Anytime you want to write me a song, you go ahead and send it off to me, little man. I love hairy feet. So, that was pretty cool. Enjoyed that. Now, what I've always thought about was that if I ever got a friend who could sing and play guitar really well, this is me thinking back then, I would try to get them to record my version, of this Dead Milkmen song, but Top Cow Girl with my lyrics. Well, I never managed to get a friend like that, but you know what? I got a son-in-law now, Reed Chancellor, He is a singer, and he's a musician. He plays guitar, he plays drums, he does all that stuff. So I would like to get, what I would like to do is get him to sing this song, and we could do it simple, just acoustic guitar maybe, and then I would make a music video for it. And I'd be happy to act in it, I just don't sing. So what do you guys think of that idea? If you like that idea, get a hold of Reed Chancellor and tell him, hey, make that video with Larry. Now, the second time I had a letter printed was the following year in 2005. I wrote a letter to, I sent an email to the editor of Ultimate X-Men at the time at Marvel, which was Ralph Macchio. Now, same spelling, but let's not confuse this Ralph Macchio with the Ralph Macchio who played the Karate Kid. So, no relation, just the same name. But Ralph Macchio was a longtime Marvel editor, and he wrote some books. And I first probably noticed his name as a letter hack. He had several letters published in Marvel Comics back in this, let's see, mid-70s, maybe early 70s, and then eventually he ended up working for him. And I think he might still be working for them, I'm not sure. But he was editor on most of the Ultimate line during the first wave of Ultimate Marvel Comics. And so he was editing Ultimate X-Men at the time, so I'm talking to 2005 here. So if you wanted your letter published, you would email it to him. So that's what I did. And I will put a scan of the letter up that got published, and I'll read it. Now, this was published in Ultimate X-Men number 62, 2005 issue. So right here. Okay, so here is my letter. Dear Ultimate X-Men, first off, I have to say I'm a longtime Marvel zombie. I first started reading Marvel Comics back in the late 70s. Wolverine is my favorite character of all time. As a short man, and then brackets, I'm 5'4", just 1 inch taller than classic Wolverine, I found it pretty disappointing and very hard to get used to the idea of Ultimate Wolverine being 6 foot tall. After some time passed in therapy, just kidding, I was finally able to cope with a tall Wolvie, and I'd learned to accept a tall movie Logan thanks to the great acting of Hugh Jackman, so why not? Then around the time of the Chris Bachalo drawn Ultimate War storyline, Ultimate Wolverine started shrinking. All of a sudden, he started getting shorter. And now, Ultimate Wolverine, as drawn by current artist Stuart Immonen, is just as short as his classic incarnation. What happened? Why the change? Is this a mistake or a kind of retcon? Are you trying to send me back to the shrink's couch? Do I get a no prize? And I was still going by the Web Hobbit moniker at that time, so this was signed the same way. And here is who could I only assume is Ralph Macchio writing here. Pretty sure he was handling the letters page. And he says, well, you know as well as I do that Wolvie's been through a lot lately. Trying to find his wife, going head-to-head with Yuri, dealing with his failings for Storm. It's been a rough few months, and Logan's been pretty tired. I don't know about you, but when I'm tired, I tend to slouch, which makes me look shorter than I actually am. Logan's probably just, slouching, too? So that was his answer. Pretty good. Now, eventually I fell off collecting Ultimate X-Men. So I don't know if they ever fixed that or if they just kept him short. I mean, I would have preferred them to never have made him tall. But, you know, when they launched that Ultimate X title, or Ultimate X-Men title originally, I think they were trying to get it to conform more with the movie Wolverine, you know, the look of that. So they made him tall. Yeah. But apparently they just let the artist do whichever version they wanted, you know, the tall Wolverine or short Wolverine. So that's probably what happened there. I don't think it was actually any sort of decision. Interesting part of little addendum to this story is around that same time, I guess 2005, 2006, maybe a little bit after that, I was doing some writing some blurbs up for some titles within Comic Base, the world's largest comic book database, if you don't know. And so they published that within the program, and it also shows up on their Atomic Avenue listings. I'll show you an example here. Atomic Avenue is a place where you can buy comic books from people who use that database. You don't have to have the database to buy, but you do have to have it to put your listings up. At any rate, so I was involved with them for a while, and I wrote several of these blurbs that are part of the database now. Pretty pleased about that. But anyway, I was had a pretty good relationship with the editor, with one of the editors there at the time, the main one. And I asked her, I said, hey, yeah, over email, I said, if I can get Ralph Macchio to let me interview him, would you publish that here on the Comic Base website? And she said, she was like, sure, go for it. See what you can, if you can get it, okay. So I emailed Ralph Macchio back because we had exchanged a couple emails back and forth the time they printed this letter and a little after that. And I asked him about doing an interview for Comic Base, explained what that was, I linked everything up, and he was really nice over email, he was cordial, but he did not agree. He was like, no, nobody wants to hear, from me, no one wants to hear me talk about any of this. And I'm like, I don't think so. You have fans, or you have people that have sort of followed you and knew what you were doing all this time. He's like, nah, no one wants to see that. Like, okay, so he declined. Too bad, because that would have been fun. But ultimately, he said no. So to my knowledge, that's the only 2 times I've been published. I've had letters published. I mean, I think as a kid, really young, I had sent some letters into Marvel, but I never saw them published. So if they were printed later on and I didn't get the issue, that it's possible, I was published before that. I doubt it, though. I probably would have seen it or heard about it, maybe. But, there was no internet then. There was no World Wide Web, and there weren't message boards. So maybe, there could be, I could have a letter out there somewhere in some early 80s Marvel Comics, who knows. But those 2 I do know about, and I got copies of them, and I'm going to keep them forever. And, yeah, so hope you like taking a look at that, and come back next week for more. And subscribe if you haven't already, and give me a thumbs up if you like this. And I will see you next time.